pay less council tax in Essex than any other county in the country except one. If we paid the average council tax, it would pay for an extra 470 police officers. But those who've decided this over many years have run the council tax funding down to the absolute bottom of the scale. Now, I'm now responsible for that. So this year, I put it up more than government originally said we could. They set a limit of, for the bit that goes to policing, they said the most I could put it up was 2%. I chose to put it up 3.7%. And so it's down to me to decide how much you pay from your council tax, but government put a cap on it. Last year, I put up the maximum. So there's no...
as a layman, my attitude would be, surely, if there's 500 more people in one area,
so that does
need more police because you are getting more funds.
Yeah. Well, 500 people, about, if they're all paying council tax, about £100. A typical house generates about £120. So 500 houses generates, somebody do the maths, £50,000. That would pay for one police officer.
Sorry. Obviously, community safety partnership works really well.
Yeah.
I'm the local councillor, so I know that it does. But what I think you do is you don't sell yourself very well out there to the people. They don't always see what good jobs you are doing because they don't know about it. Us as councillors probably do. We can take that feedback.
Yeah.
But just on the bit of paying a bit extra, there are parts of Essex that bring in policing on a private basis. And they charge, I think, £5 a household a month, and they bring in private policing.
Where's this?
Brentwood.
We've said, and the Chief Constable has said, that if communities want to have their own, I wouldn't stop you if you want to pay for your own private security people. That's an option you've got. I would rather you thought about making sure we optimise the working of the Community Safety Partnership and look to see if you want to invest that money in PCSOs, because that is an option to invest in police community support.
But you're not taking on any more police training, are you?
Yes, training.
But how many are you taking on this year, right, that's applied to actually join the police?
I'm going to draw a line on this discussion in a moment, because otherwise we're not going to get through the agenda.
So you're not answering that question.
I'm trying to answer them all. We are recruiting. We're one of the few forces in the country that's recruiting. We've got the current class graduate. I'm doing the passing out parade on on Christmas Eve, and we have a brand new start under the new entry. Essex Police have gone out to recruit new officers. The new entry start in January, the new class start, and a second class starting at the beginning of April.
We can't do this on our own. Police can't do this on our own. We know we can't, and I wouldn't ever say we can. We need your help, and stuff like that is invaluable. Also, it's worth mentioning partnership working. I briefed about 100 council staff, the people that do street cleansing, mow the lawn. I briefed them personally on Wednesday around a range of different crimes, including burglary, and said actually they know their areas better than we do. They see what's normal, they see and by them being briefed and knowing what our problems are, they can then feed that back through the relevant channels, so I can then get that back and then do something around it. So I'm working with as many people as I can, and I've personally done briefings to, as I say, it was around about 100 council staff, all frontline staff, the high-vis jacket type of staff you see out and about in our communities. So stuff like that, thank you very much, and stuff like that, please let us know anything that you think is out of place.
Yes,
The perception of the risks of a robbery, I think, are a lot higher than the actual chances of a robbery. I'll give you some meaningful facts. In the last 20 days, we haven't had a robbery reported to us in Thurrock, which is quite amazing compared to where we were a few years ago. In an average...
You haven't had one reported?
No, not one. Not in the whole Thurrock.
It doesn't mean to say it hasn't happened.
That's why I said reported. So people need to tell us so we know that we're getting an accurate picture. But I can only work on what I'm told. So totally accept what you're saying, but I've not had any reported. In an average month, we'd only expect, I say expect, it's still to me, we'd expect 8 robberies. So very, very low numbers in Thurrock. And I'm pleased to say since April, we've come down by about 20% in terms of robbery, from a very low position anyway. Reported. When I say about crime, it's always reported because that's what I'm told. So I have to work on something. But obviously, totally accept that people don't
you think sometimes that crimes happen and people don't report it because they know they're not going to get any response?
And people need to give us a chance and tell us.
Or useful response.
Yeah, and people need to give me that chance and report it to us and let us try. Because
people have been in that situation and it hasn't happened. So.
I think it's a really good point.
Why should I report it when nobody's taken any notice?
Well, my answer.
Speaking from personal.
I think it's really important. This is what I'm saying to the chief, and I'm saying to the district commanders, and I'm saying to the people who manage the call centre. We've got, they have got to manage the incoming calls from us and those concerns better. They've got to take them seriously. They've got to make sure they are recorded. The Chief Constable is absolutely clear, even if it means that the figures, apparent figures go through the roof in terms of recorded crime. If we don't flush out that reporting of crime, how can Ben and the others deal with it? So please, don't give up faith and make don't.
It has to be done on both ends of the scale. I mean, my friend's mum had her bag stolen from the side of her in Morrison's about 4 weeks ago. A police officer again still didn't come out. Now I'm of an age where I was brought up to try to be a law-abiding citizen, and that if something's wrong done against you,
so there's
the police officer comes and deals with it.
Okay, so there's
We don't get that no
no,
more.
you
We
may
get a
not.
phone
You may
call.
not get that. You may not get that because
Then it becomes a nominal crime.
No,
Oh,
not necessarily.
No, but that's how we're made to
But that's how
feel.
we have to manage our expectations a bit on that. But then,
CRD will deal with every case of robbery and we'll look into that. Our detective sergeants will very quickly look at the robbery case. We'll get a detective out to you as quick as we can. I think Ben said we haven't had a robbery within 20 days. In terms of CRD and uniform, we work very closely to make sure that we're talking to each other. We've got a joint team now which is made up of detectives and uniform officers, so that we bridge the gap even internally as well as externally as well, which for me is very important. We've had some real success locally. I'll talk about a case within the Grays Town Centre where we had a number of elderly people that were targeted by people coming out from London, particularly when they were going to the cash points and withdrawing the money. Very quickly there was a fast response, not only by detectives but uniform officers as well. We're able to identify from CCTV the people that were responsible. Again, because of our close links with colleagues on there, we put those photographs into the Metropolitan Police area and had those people identified who they were, and within 24 hours they were arrested and are now serving a custodial sentence for those crimes. So, we do react quickly, particularly with offences like robbery, and we do identify where we need to act quickly and prioritise that as well. So we are having some real...
I know it's difficult solving crime, but what are you doing to try and improve this?
Complex landscape in terms of trying to investigate burglary, especially when you talk about burglaries where people may go out to work, that their homes are burgled, we come home, people haven't seen who's done it, they've not seen a person, and for us to have a line of inquiry to follow. So we then fall back and rely on speaking to neighbours, speaking to witnesses, going back to intelligence and crime stoppers, who's responsible, who's doing this, and actually looking at our teams of forensic officers that come out and opportunities that present around that. What I will say in terms of Thurrock, we noticed that we've not done as well as we could do. It's increased by 50% in terms of our detection rate where we are compared to last year. So for me, we're heading in the right direction. I'm a local resident as well. I live locally. My family are local. I want to do better, and I continue to drive my investigators to do better. We are working with companies such as Cash Converters UK. Cash Converters now every day send my detectives information about items that have been taken into their stores, so we can check to see if they've been stolen by burglars. We're working around forensics. But for me it's about the people that are responsible for those burglaries. It's not just about solving the burglary as well. So we look at opportunities. If there's information that we've got people are committing burglaries, sometimes it's easier to create a hostile environment around them and deal with them for something else. So, do they not have insurance on their car? Are they living in a place and not paying their rent properly? And we'll go and deal with them for that and lock them up for those offences. Yes, I might not be able to detect the burglary, but what I can do is prevent other people being victims of burglary. And that for me is as important as detecting it. There's a number of ways.
Thurrock is a good place. We get a lot of community intelligence, so straight away we have a fair idea. When we get a burglary hotspot here in Ockenden or in Corringham or in Tilbury, we've got a group of individuals who we suspect are probably responsible. So we're doing a lot of stuff around that, and it might not be, as I say, the burglary detection or conviction you see. It might be something different. So it's just to kind of reassure you that we are looking at those individuals, whatever we can get them for, and we'll arrest them for whatever we can. Theft, assault, whatever. They'll get arrested for absolutely. In some of these cases, you notice someone's just been released from prison into an area. That's happened several times, and lo and behold, they're a burglar. They've been released, and burglaries go up in that area. It doesn't take an analytical genius at headquarters to tell me that they're probably doing their burglary. So what I will do is target them. And since obviously the figures on the screen, yes, it's a bad picture, but from April when we started a lot of our different operations, these are in effect, we've reduced burglary by 9.4% across Thurrock, and in certain areas, even Stamford and Corringham, it's down by about 10%. which is about 49 less burglaries. Yes, there's still too many. On average, we get about 2.5. I know you can't get half a burglary, but if you divide the number we get every year, we expect about 2.5 a day in Thurrock for 64,000 homes. So it's not a horrendous number, but I'm trying to reduce that even further.